You wake up gasping, and for a moment you can't move. Your chest feels like something is sitting on it. Your eyes are open, the room looks normal, but your body refuses to respond, like the signal between your brain and your limbs has simply been cut. A few seconds pass that feel like minutes. And then, suddenly, it releases, and you're just a person lying in bed again, heart pounding for no reason you can explain. If that's ever happened to you, you already know it's one of the most genuinely unsettling experiences a human body can produce. Here's what almost nobody realizes. People have been describing that exact sensation, the pressure, the paralysis, the feeling that something is in the room with them, for thousands of years, across cultures that never had any contact with each other. So the question worth asking isn't just what causes a nightmare. It's why ancient humans, separated by oceans and centuries, all seem to land on the same explanation. Here's where things get interesting, because this isn't just one culture's folklore, it's a pattern that shows up almost everywhere. In medieval Europe, people called it the mare, a spirit believed to sit on a sleeper's chest at night, pressing the air out of them. That word is where we get nightmare from directly, mare meaning the crushing visitor, not the dream itself. In parts of Scandinavia, it was described almost identically, a malevolent presence that pinned victims down while they slept. In West African and Caribbean traditions, similar experiences were attributed to spirits, sometimes called the old hag. In parts of Southeast Asia, the explanation involved spirits or ghosts pressing down on a sleeping body. Different continents, different languages, different religious systems, same exact description: weight on the chest, inability to move, a sense of presence nearby, and overwhelming fear. Think about that for a moment. If this were just imagination running wild, you'd expect wildly different stories. A demon here, a curse there, no overlap at all. Instead, you get something closer to a shared blueprint, repeated independently by people who never spoke to each other, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years. What most people don't realize is that this consistency isn't really about culture at all. It's about biology, the same biology running inside every human brain on Earth. This is the part that should genuinely shift how you see this entire experience. What ancient humans were describing has a name today: sleep paralysis, and it happens because of a glitch in the normal transition between sleep stages. During REM sleep, the stage where your most vivid dreams occur, your brain deliberately paralyzes your major muscles. This isn't a malfunction, it's a safety feature, preventing you from physically acting out whatever your dreaming mind is experiencing. Most of the time, that paralysis switches off cleanly the moment you wake up. But sometimes, the timing misfires. Your conscious mind wakes up before the paralysis has been released. You open your eyes, you're aware, you're trying to move, and your body simply won't respond, because as far as your nervous system is concerned, you're technically still asleep. Here's the genuinely strange part though. Researchers studying sleep paralysis have found that during these episodes, the brain often remains partially in a dream state, even while visual awareness of the real room kicks in. That overlap, real surroundings blended with leftover dream activity, appears to be exactly what produces the hallucinated sense of a presence in the room. Not imagination exactly, more like two systems, waking awareness and dreaming awareness, briefly running at the same time, in the same skull. So the crushing weight people across cultures consistently described wasn't a coincidence, and it wasn't supernatural contamination spreading between civilizations that never met. It was the same human nervous system, doing the exact same thing, generating the exact same terrifying experience, and then being explained through whatever cultural framework happened to be available. A Scandinavian villager, and a West African elder, and a Southeast Asian farmer weren't describing different events. They were describing the same biological event, translated into different languages. So here's a question worth pausing on. If sleep paralysis is just biology, why did so many cultures reach for spirits and demons instead of something closer to a physical explanation? Because an experience that frightening demands a story big enough to match it. Imagine waking up paralyzed, certain something malevolent is inches from your face, with absolutely no framework for understanding what's happening to your own body. Without the language of neuroscience, without any concept of REM sleep or muscle atonia, ancient humans needed an explanation that matched the intensity of what they'd just lived through. A demon sitting on your chest explains the weight. A vengeful spirit explains the presence you sensed but couldn't see. Naming the terror, giving it a shape and an origin, made an inexplicable event feel slightly less chaotic, slightly more survivable. And these explanations weren't just stories told for entertainment, they often came with instructions. Sleep facing a different direction, keep an object near the bed, Recite a particular phrase before sleeping. Across multiple unrelated cultures, the folklore consistently paired the fear with a ritual response, something a frightened person could actually do. That detail matters more than it might seem. A purely biological explanation gives you understanding, but not necessarily comfort. A cultural explanation, even an inaccurate one, gave ancient humans something understanding alone couldn't: agency. Something to do with the fear besides simply enduring it. We still do this today, even if the costume looks different. The fear hasn't disappeared just because we have better answers. Here's the idea worth sitting with after all of this. We tend to assume that scientific explanation makes fear disappear, that once you understand the mechanism, the emotion underneath it should quietly dissolve. But sleep paralysis proves that's not quite how it works. You can know, with complete medical certainty, that the presence in the room is your own dreaming brain misfiring during a sleep transition, and still feel your heart pounding the next time it happens. Understanding the biology doesn't erase the terror, it just renames it. Which suggests something larger about how humans actually relate to fear. We've spent thousands of years swapping explanations, demons replaced by neuroscience, spirits replaced by sleep studies, but the raw experience underneath has stayed remarkably constant. The body doesn't care what century it's in, it still locks up. It still searches the dark for a shape to put the fear on. Maybe that's the real discovery hiding inside this question. Ancient humans weren't primitive for believing something supernatural was sitting on their chest. They were doing exactly what we still do, reaching for whatever explanation their world had available, trying to make an unbearable moment feel a little more survivable. The mare has a different name now. But if you've ever woken up in the dark, paralyzed, certain something else was in the room, you already know. It never actually left.